Hello, Pit Nation. Had a little craziness getting here, so my brain's still a little jumping around. I know many of you are expecting for me to throw the Idle Pearl down the lane. What we have out here is we put Route 66 out.
Nope.
Hold on. Go ahead, Josh.
No, it is not Route 66. It's the college tournament pattern that they bowled on because
Okay, perfect.
39 feet, 4-to-1 ratio.
Yep, we had a collegiate tournament here at the bowling center this past weekend, and that pattern was left in the machine, and so we just decided, you know what, let's throw that pattern out. And it's 39 feet, you said? It was 39 feet and 4-to-1 ratio. So that's what we're going to throw some test shots on. I have not thrown one shot today. So we have on lane 22, we have that fresh college pattern. And over on lane 21, we have our typical house shot, whatever was left from last night that I've been doing the demonstrations on the last couple of weeks. Now, first of all, I want to thank Tim Friends for coming over, who's handling the video. He brought some more lights in. We want to try to start stepping up these videos as best we can. That will free up Josh as well to read your questions, go over your comments, and maybe be a part of what we're doing in the coming weeks. If I could ask Tim to come around here, I want to show you. If you remember last week, up on our chart that we had, I had over here response time, and on the what would be the x-axis, I had the friction. Just a way to relate bowling balls together. So I happen to have six bowling balls out here, and relative to the response time and the friction characteristic, this is what I have. The farther to the right that one of these is the amount of friction, and therefore the farther to the left is lower friction. The higher is the response time, the lower, the smoother the ball is to friction. So that's exactly what I had up last week. For those of you that weren't here, those brown circles, that was what I had said, you know, the bottom right, that's usually what I would start out with. Slower response, and then I would migrate to a ProMotion or an IQ Tour or a All Road. And then usually toward the end of the blocks, I would get to Halo Pearls, High Road, IQ Emerald, the quicker stuff later in the block. Okay? So how this is going to relate today is I will gladly throw the Idle Pearl. Oh, I even put that up here. So let's put those on here. The Idle Pearl and the same Halo Pearl that I threw last week. So I would put these, this might slide up a little bit. This would probably be here. The reason that I have this a little smoother than the Astrophysics is because I have used this. This probably has, I don't know, maybe 80 to 100 games on it. And this Astrophysics is still relatively fresh. Maybe 10 to 15 games on that Astrophysics. The Idle Pearl, I have used this quite a bit. Certainly doesn't have as many as the Halo Pearl, but it certainly has more than the Astrophysics. So we'll put this at probably 30 to 40 games. I would put this probably right about here on our chart. Is this chart foolproof? No. Can I drill a High Road Nano to be quicker than a Astrophysics? No. But can I, with surface prep layout, amount of games on the ball. Can I make this migrate over to here? Sure. Can I put the layout stronger and make this yield a little more friction over here? Of course. Can I switch these two balls around with layout and surface prep? Of course. This show off, I've had this in my arsenal for, gosh, almost a year and a half now, maybe close to 2 years from right when it came out. And this has lots and lots of games on it. I end up using this to be able to give me a lot of feedback of the pattern that I'm bowling on. So here's what we're going to do today. On lane 21, we have our house shot that has been used, and I will demonstrate the difference between the Halo Pearl from last week and the Idle Pearl that you asked for this week. And then I want to come over here on this fresh pattern of that 39 feet, 4-to-1 ratio, and I'll throw those two, but I think we're going to see how sensitive they are to the end of the pattern. And then I'll go through this arsenal, just happen to be 8 balls that I have in here, and then I'll go through and I'll get lined up and I'll show you some things about how I would attack a fresh pattern. Not even necessarily 39 feet, but just a fresh pattern. Okay, does that sound good? Josh, are you getting feedback already from them?
Oh, they're just listening to you talking right now.
Okay, well, give us those blue little thumbs up things and the heart things, that the red hearts that go flying up the screen. Feel free to do all of that and throw your questions in, your comments in. Again, we really want this to be a special thing, and we really feel like that here at 10 in the Pit Pro Shop and Brad Angelo Lanes, that there's nowhere else that we can provide this amount of information, proper information, as well as strategic information for you while you're bowling. Okay? So I'll get these 2 balls back up here. Get rid of this house ball that was left here from last night. And we'll throw these 2 balls. Again, I haven't thrown any shots yet today. So what you're seeing is what you get.
It's getting warmed up pretty much.
Getting warmed up. Not pretty much, getting warmed up. Again, as in recent weeks, I'll start out somewhere crossing the arrows around 15 to 17, and then we'll just adapt as we go, okay? You saw that hydroplane a little bit, that quicker response ball. Certainly that didn't come off my thumb very well. If I could wipe this off. I'm not going to move my feet or my eyes, but I will obviously adjust my speed a little bit off that. Okay, I'm sensing quite a bit of oil down lane. Very typical of after a night of league bowling. We got plastic balls going down the lane for spare shots. Whoever was bowling on this pattern last night is certainly dictating what we're dealing with.
To see the line more.
You want to get a little more to the right there?
Yeah.
Okay, so that one there, I raised the rev rate a little bit. And what I sensed there was that quicker response ball responded very quickly to the friction that is in the front. Again, just for balls going down the lane last night. But I haven't moved my feet or my eyes. I'm just going to try to get lined up with this as best I can without moving my feet or my eyes for right now. That one looked like it was a little on top of the oil as it got down lane. Could I move my feet? Of course. Of course I could. Could I change balls? Of course. And when we're talking about having an arsenal, a lot of it pertains to you and what you're capable of doing. Are you capable of slowing down a little bit or getting faster a little bit? Having fluctuations in what you do physically. All right. So I've thrown what? 5 shots, 4 shots, 5 shots. See if I can get this one through the pins a little bit better based on what I've already seen. I'm not going to move my feet or my eyes. I'm going to be a little cleaner with my thumb so that it gets through that first 25 or 30 feet. I'm sensing that I'm standing a little in the friction, but I'm also sensing that oil down lane. So see if I can get a strike on this one. Be a little not so grabby with my hand, but I'm still going to keep my rev rate up and see if I can get it to get up into that pocket a little better. Okay, haven't moved my feet. Okay, that certainly was a little bit better, ball motion-wise. Because I wasn't so grabby with my hand, that helped slow the response time of the ball down, which allowed it to get through that friction in the front. You know, it's important to note, for those of you that have been watching or following the U.S. Open all week, the best bowlers in the world, they do this stuff. They're changing their grip tensions, and they're changing their feel points, and subtly changing how their thumb gets out of it. That's what we all do. And believe it or not, I would dare say that there's some people that don't even realize that they're doing it. We're just adapting to what we see. It's more than just making left or right moves on the lane. Well, I left a 2-pin, so I got to move to the right. Whoop, I went through the nose, left the 3-6-10, so I better move to the left. If you're going to be only able to move left or right, you're going to be at the mercy of the oil moving around the lane. But if you can understand ball motion throughout the whole 60 feet, you hear people talk about it all the time. Yeah, you got to see the lane front to back. Well, that's very easy to say and use those words, but truly being able to understand what you're looking for, that's a whole nother story. So based on that last shot, I feel like it was a pretty good shot. I'm just going to stabilize my axis rotation just a little bit so it doesn't leave that 9-pin, so it deflects a little bit more. And I'll throw hopefully 2 or 3 good shots with this, and then we'll throw the idle pearl. This video might be a little bit longer. Give us a thumbs up if that's going to be okay, or if you want us to just make it to the normal half hour. Okay, that was pretty good. That was cleaner off my hand. I still kept my rev rate up. Somebody this past weekend was talking about when I was down in Memphis teaching a Bowl U workshop. They were talking about touch and feel and asking how important that is. Well, that's like hugely important, obviously. All right, repeat that last shot. Uh-oh, got it in. Got that one in a little bit, and you see it kind of hydroplane. It almost got there. Probably could have struck, but that ring 10 happened because of a little too much deflection. Just because it hydroplaned a little bit too much. All right, throw another one, and then we'll go to the idle pearl. felt like I got just a little slow and not quite as clean off of my thumb. Felt a little grabby. So what I saw was it was a little sensitive to that friction. I saw it jump a little bit. And so as long as my eyes are able to confirm what I felt when I threw it, then I feel like I'm okay. All right, let's throw the idle pearl.
Idle pearl coming up.
Now I'm going to try to throw this identical to what I was just doing there, and we'll try to see the slightly different shape. This should be a little less friction. If you want to look down here, Tim, it's a very similar layout on both of them. Pins up basically an inch or so above my bridge. CG kicked out, obviously asymmetrical, obviously symmetrical. Surface is probably pretty close to the same. But I'm going to try to do the same thing here. You should see this being a little lower friction and maybe a little bit quicker. But we'll see how it goes. Definitely quicker. Thought I was going to get it. So that was definitely quicker, and that could be just because, like I said, the number of games that I have on that Halo Pearl versus the number of games that I have on this Idle Pearl. So I'll try to throw that same shot again. Pretty decent, I think. I like that one. Little lower friction relative to the Halo Pearl. The words that you would probably hear most people talk about is, yeah, a little cleaner. Doesn't necessarily get down the lane longer, not that it goes longer, because when we're talking about quick response balls, they'll only go longer if you use them in the oil. If you're standing too close to the friction, that quick response ball is going to respond quickly to that friction wherever it is on the lane. Could be the first 20 feet, it could be from 15 to 40 feet, it could be from 35 to 50 feet. Wherever there's a lot of friction, when these balls come in contact with that friction, they'll want to respond quickly. And because I saw that earlier with the Halo Pearl, what did I do physically? I went to a little slower response time release. A little bit less grab with my release. A little bit cleaner, a little bit more flowing release to help slow the response time of that ball down relative to the previous shot, okay? All right, I feel like I'm talking a lot. Give me a thumbs down if you think I'm talking too much.
You're good. They're loving it. Just keep being you. Any and all question, guys, shoot away. That's why we're here. Man, you can't get that thing out of his hand.
Well, you know, now here's the thing. If I'm at a tournament and I'm trying to use the Halo Pearl, based on what I'm learning here, the difference between the two, it's not that one goes longer. It's that the Halo Pearl is a little higher friction. So the difference between these two balls, the way that BowU lines them up relative to friction factor and response time characteristic, that stays constant now. No matter where I go, no matter what pattern I'm on, I may have to attack a pattern a little bit farther to the right or to the left, depending on what the field turns the pattern into. But, man, that Halo Pearl, wow, looked good a couple games ago. Now there's getting to be some oil down lane, and I feel like I got to be too perfect with what I'm doing. Whoop, I might jump to this Idle Pearl and then allow this to be that little lower friction and that little quicker response time. I'll throw a couple more, and then we'll jump over to the other lane. How's that?
Sports shot on lane 22.
Oh, some of you might want to see me moving to the right with both of these as well.
If you guys want to see different angles and stuff like that, shoot away. Down and in maybe. It's a beast with that thing.
Got that one just a touch to the right, but it didn't respond to that friction early. It tried to, but I threw it pretty. Just the direction was a little bit off.
Why don't you try moving to the right and being a little speed dominant?
Okay, to the right, a little speed dominant. So I'll move out to second arrow. That's kind of what I've been doing consistently when we've went. When I've moved to the right the last couple of weeks, I've just used second arrow. So I'll just move out to the second arrow. So I'm moving about 7 and 5 to the right. I'll raise my speed a little, lower my rev rate a little. See how it goes. You know, what I saw there, certainly, I hope you were able to see it. What I saw there is that ball really, you talk about the axis of rotation. My finger's going this way, the axis being here. What I saw that one do is I saw that one give me a little check in that front part of the lane. Is that consistent with what I would expect? Of course, because I moved closer to just the lateral friction, but I also moved closer to or more into what the field did last night to this lane. Okay, there's probably not near as much oil in that part of the lane, but because of my lower rev rate, my higher speed, it ended up doing okay and getting through there. If I were to get a little slower, it would probably check too much off that.
Why don't you make a big move left and slow roll it a little bit?
Okay. All right, so from where I was initially, I'm moving 10 left, and I'll move 6 left with my eyes, 10 and 6. So it's going to cross about 21, 22. Got to slow down. Okay, that one looked okay. Yes, we got a strike, so I'm happy. But that one looked like it really saw that oil down lane.
Jeremy said he wants to see you only leave a forfeit.
He did that like 10 shots ago.
5 shots ago, Jared.
Leaving a 4-pin from this deep might be a little difficult, but I could try for you. That's a lefty 4-pin, so flip that around on your screens at home. No, I'm just kidding. As you saw, what I did to try to leave a 4-pin, I tried to get a little slower so that I could use a little more of the head pin. And in that quick response ball, really checked off that friction that I already know is there
So do you see
from earlier.
Do you guys see what he's talking about when he had the Halo Pearl in his hand? Now he's got the Idle Pearl in his hand. Even though they're both Pearl cover stocks, they still do something completely different. Oh,
Whoa.
why can't you do that out on tour, man? That's a Belmonte hit.
That one's like that House Shoes Johnson guy.
Oh boy.
All right, last chance at a 4-pin. It's not that easy to do from playing this deep with these angles. But I'm going to try it.
That may be it.
Oh, a little bit high. All right, let's scrap that idea. We can talk about that and can learn more about that drill and what we use that drill for if you end up making it through the initial Bull U elements class and starting to attend the Bull U ball motion class, because that's a lot of the stuff that we do in that class from a drill perspective. All right, you want me to jump over to the other lane or anything else here on this side?
I'd say jump over the other lane. You guys are kind of not talkative today. What's going on?
How many people we got today?
Right now,
22.
Okay, 22. All right, 39 feet. Nobody's bowled on this. Tim, if you could, come right over my right shoulder. Yep, exactly, that's where I want to be. Because I want them to see where the red dot is reflecting in the lane. Relative to my eyes, that red dot is reflecting on about 8, 9, 10. Hopefully you guys can see that. So I want to try to be splitting that red dot in half. Why? Well, it's a 39-foot pattern. It'll give me a good place to start. And then I'm going to be watching the front to back migration of that rotational axis. Okay? So I'm going to start out, I got this idle pearl. I never start with this ball on fresh. And when I say never, I mean never. I start out with slower response time balls, so that helps me keep my angles more closed. Which direction does the oil go? It's not like oil transitions. It's not like you're driving through a puddle on the road and oil splashes to the right. I hear people say that often, and that's not what happens. Oil gets picked up on the ball, and the ball's flaring, and then as the ball gets past the end of the pattern, that oil gets redeposited in little strips that are about that long, ranging to that long, based on the amount of the ball flares to begin with. And again, this is a little higher end stuff, but I just want you to understand, if you're going to try to keep up with transition, those of you that start out in your leagues and you bowl a really good game the first game, and then you have trouble the second game, it's probably not as much you as you'd think. It's probably more the pattern's evolving, and maybe you've chosen a ball or angles through the front that don't match up that well to the transition that we're going to be dealing with. Okay? But I'll try throwing this ball. I'm going to be crossing about 12 or 13, trying to slice that red dot in half. Tim, if you could, I want you to get right behind my right shoulder so they can kind of see it from the direction that I'm at. Okay? 13 to about 8, 9, 10. Okay, not too bad. Not too bad for a first shot. It actually went right down where I thought it was going to go, so that makes me feel good. I accomplished my goal. When we're talking about a quicker response time ball, that ball by its very nature is going to be sensitive to where there's oil as well as where there's friction. Lateral friction or front to back friction. Well, right now, this pattern doesn't have much front to back friction until the end of the pattern. So that end of that pattern is the part of the pattern that I need to be able to control. If the end of the pattern's here, I want to be able to control the last 5 to 8 feet leading up to the end of the pattern, and I want to be able to control the 6 feet past the end of the pattern. So that 10 to 15 feet of the lane, that's the part of the pattern that's changing the fastest all the time, until this flatter pattern starts getting widened out because of everybody else's field, the field friction that gets developed, the balls going down lane gets developed, then there's starting to be some lateral definition like we bowl on in league. But right now, there isn't any of that. That's why I don't choose quicker response time balls on the fresh. I can strike with them, but keeping up with that transition is more difficult with a quicker response time ball because of its sensitivity to oil movement. Okay? It's turning into a lot more teaching today, but this is the first time we've had a flatter pattern out here.
Just listening to you They're not the only one to ask questions, because they're all just saying, I love the analysts and all that other type of stuff.
Okay, so when I'm looking out this way or looking out in the back that way, it's because I'm conversing with Josh, or Tim behind the camera might be, whispering something to me as a suggestion. While we like that, and I like getting that feedback from them, it doesn't mean anything unless we get feedback from those of you that are watching. Okay? I don't mind doing this on Wednesdays, but I want it to be worthwhile to each of you, and I know I've said that each week, so I want it to be worthwhile. Okay? All right.
No, Demetrius, it's not the same pattern from the sweeper. It was the college pattern that they had a college tournament here with 39 feet, 4-1.
How many of you would like this to be a pattern that we use for the sweeper? Maybe in December. Maybe we'll let our mechanic leave this in the machine and we use this for this month's pattern. The 2 or 3 sweepers that are in November. I mean, we want to be able to make it something that each of you, when you're driving here on Sunday, especially after football, the Bills are done, or while other football games are going on, something that you're looking forward to. Yes, coming here and at least competing. You get to have your competitive juices flowing. But I think more importantly, learning something from these videos and then taking it out here on the lanes and trying to experience it for yourself, even if you crash and burn. Because that's really the only way we're going to get this whole pit nation to really start growing and create some momentum around here.
I got a question. Herman Johnson. So on the fresh, he's always starting out with a solid. I wouldn't say maybe always a solid, but something slow.
Yeah, well, you know what, Herman, I would almost say yes. Again, if we think about the arsenal that we talked about earlier today, yeah, typically solids are more smoother stuff.
Yeah, but there's also quicker solids than others.
Yeah, of course. And there's quicker solids, there's smoother solids, there are layouts of solids that I have a quicker layout. There are layouts of solid. I have a Crux Prime that the pin is drilled way above the fingers. That's a quicker layout. Doesn't mean the ball goes longer. It means that's a quicker response time when it comes in contact with friction. The higher you drill a pin, the quicker layout that is. I also have a Crux Prime that's drilled with the pin right in the middle of my palm. I don't have it here today, but maybe that's something we can do. Maybe I can show you some of that stuff that I do. But the palm or the pin is right here in the middle of my grip. So I use that ball as a smoother option. Then I use the same Crux Prime with a different layout that's drilled up here. I just use it differently. But each ball, by its very nature, is a slower, smoother response time ball. Okay? All right, we might be having a pin issue here. I don't know. We'll see. Still going to cross 13. Cross the arrows around 8, 9, 10. Well, there you see it. That wasn't that bad of a shot. Maybe subtly different. If I was on Specto or if I was on some CAT system, yeah, those 2 shots would be different. But that ball magnifies those subtly different shots. Okay? Let's go to a smoother option.
Mark Cheek said, wow, that grabbed.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that it necessarily grabbed, Mark. It's just that when that cover stock came in contact with the end of the pattern, it was really sensitive. So we want to try to have a ball motion that's always smooth. If your guys are going to watch the US Open tonight, the TV show tonight is on, watch the ball motion. You won't see any of the people that made the show using a ball that reacts or jumps goes down the lane, and then goes whoop, like that. You won't see that motion. Everybody uses a motion that wherever the ball is off their hand ends up going down the lane and migrating smoothly. So, High Road Nano, I don't know exactly what surface is on it, but you can see it's got a little surface on it. I wouldn't call this shiny by any means.
Probably close to box.
Okay, I will say maybe slightly used, 1,000. A little stronger layout for me. It's about 4 inches for me. And I like to use this ball as a smoother response time ball, slower response time ball. Now I'm not going to move my feet or my eyes. I'm just going to throw the same shots. 13 to about 8, 9, 10. Now look at how much more smooth that was. I didn't know for a fact that that was going to happen, but that got to the end of that pattern, and it took a much longer distance to make that move, that lateral move. So because of that, I can control that shape much easier as oil's moving all over the lane. Throw a few more shots with this. And then I'll throw a couple shots with the show off. And then I'll throw a couple shots with the ProMotion. How we doing on time? We're at 40 minutes already. Do you want me to keep going, or do you want me to stop for this week? It'll be your call.
If you guys want them to keep going, just start putting little thumbs up everywhere. Oh yeah, they want you to keep going.
Okay, I missed in on that shot. That wasn't that good a shot at all.
Oh yeah, little thumbs up going.
The ball got down to the end of the pattern. The axis was still facing this way. Well, when the tires on your car are rotating this way, and the tires on your and your car is going this way, that's pretty sensitive to friction, isn't it?
They all say keep going, Haas.
Okay. That was much better, and I keyed on that shot of making sure that off my hand the rotation was a little bit more stable. So when it got to the end of the pattern, if it saw friction, it was going to go towards the pocket where we want it to go. I'll throw a couple more shots with this. How many saw that shot? If you were to watch that shot in slow motion, you would have saw that, whoop, that was coming off my hand back here, and I almost tried to re-grab it. It was too late, it just flew to the right. It's a horrible shot.
Is there any way you can put a camera down the lane so you can see the motion of the ball? We're kind of working on that. Me and Tim have kind of discussed that a little bit. We got to get some more expensive parts to do that. So that is possible in the near future.
Let me ask you, are you able to hear Josh's response?
That's what I was just thinking. Did everyone hear Josh on that, since he's a little bit more behind the camera?
Because I don't think you're talking in your phone.
Yeah, you're not. You don't. Because I'm doing the live on
Because we're
mine.
filming this on Tim, so
They're answering me.
say what you just said into this camera, because that was
Well, I
good.
can say the same thing. We're discussing a few other camera options in the future once we kind of get more in the swing of this thing and whatnot.
I'm out of breath. I'm actually tired. So give me 2 or 3 shots to just get my brain back focused on what I'm trying to feel. Okay, so I'm not going to say anything for a couple shots. See if I can make this look better for you. I'm sorry. might be using too much angle. Might have to close my angles down just a little bit. But I'm not going to move my feet or my eyes. I'll tell you if I do.
Mark Cheek, too much angle, meaning question mark, question mark, question mark. They'll answer your question as soon as you start throwing those shots.
Too much angle. From where my ball touches the lane when I lay it down to how far lateral it's going, the launch angle. Not angle at the pins, but the angle at which the ball's coming off my hand. If we had that ability, we could show you. I bet you that my ball's hitting the lane probably at about 15 or 16. Well, let's go look. Come here, Tim. Since these are the only shots that I've taken, you might have to come right out here. You can see it. Right here, right there's a little teardrop. Right out here's a lot of teardrops. So that's 17, 18, 19, 20. So all my teardrops are all right in through here. And if we were to take you down lane, some of those balls were getting all the way out to, 6, 7, 8 instead of 8, 9, 10. That angle, that might be too much angle. You don't want to use a lot of angle too early. You want to try to get lined up with a smooth ball motion with your angles somewhat closed so that you have something to migrate to as transition is occurring. Yes, you can get lined up on that first pair of lanes and you can shoot a good game relative to your average. Let's say for somebody like me, yeah, I can get out of the gate with 235 or 246. But going to the next pair of lanes, I need to be able to keep in mind the transition that I'm going to have to deal with. And if I use too open of angles, gosh, that's tough to hit transition. The only reason to be using more angle is if I feel like I don't have much hold. But again, these videos, they're not really designed to be unpacking the layers of the onion and getting deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the reasons why. I want to try to have these videos be a very brief educational tool for you. We can touch on some of the Bowl U teachings that I have learned. There's guys on tour that use similar strategies. It's just not necessarily called Bowl U. Okay, so it's not that Bowl U is the end all. You can become a great bowler without Bowl U, for sure. But the length of time that it would take you to become a great bowler without Bowl U is years and years and years. Whereas you've seen some of the people here in this area, they became exposed to Bowl U, and in a very short time, now I say short time, handful of weeks, 3 or 4 months, up to a year, 2 or 3 years. There's some names that come to mind. They're on Beat the Champ all the time, and they've been fortunate enough, we've been fortunate enough to have them give a shout out to Bowl U and what they've learned. But we're not talking, 5, 8, 10, 12 years to go through all this trial and error. We're talking about trying to, do you see that fly flying around? We're talking about trying to use good strategy and proper understanding over what really is happening to the lanes. We actually go down and we look at what's happening on a particular pattern, week to week to week, when we're in Bowl U class. You know, how many can you do that at the places that you're bowling on? Throw shots down the lane and then go down there and look. Well, we do that here. How many of you have access to somebody that has direct access to Rick Benoit, who in my mind, in my opinion, is the #1 coach in the world?
Mine too.
I have direct access to Rick. So who else in the area can say that they have 100% direct access to Rick that also understands Bowl U theory inside and out? You don't have that anywhere else. And then we here, I can recommend a ball for you, a layout for you, whoop, zip you into the shop, punch that ball out. We can look at your arsenal of equipment. We can do all kinds of things now that we have Josh in here being able to do that. And that was the reason that I asked specifically Josh. I could have asked a couple of other people to come in. So those of you out there that might be watching this video, you know who you are. And it hasn't been fun dealing with you the last few weeks here. Just know that. So, too bad. I had to say it. So, we have the chance to do stuff here that you can't get anywhere else. Okay? All right, let me throw some more shots.
2 quick questions I think you could probably combine into one answer is, what do you do to change launch angles? And does more boards covered equal more angle?
Of course, more boards covered equals more angle. Right? Where you lay it down to where the ball gets to, if you do more boards, of course it takes more angle to achieve that more boards. Does that make sense? What was the other question?
What do you do to change launch angle?
What do I do to change launch angles? Well, I'm of the belief that just because these boards, why don't you take a shot of the boards? Just because these boards go this way doesn't mean you have to walk that way. So now take a good shot at my feet. If I'm using more angle relative to the boards, I might inch like this if I want more angle and allow my shoulders and my hips to be able to open. If I want less angle relative to what I normally do, I'll use less angle. I'm not saying if you want less angle, this is how you stand. No, it's just if you are like me, you normally stand straight to the boards. If you want a little less angle, but you want to still hit the same target on the lane, you may want to move a couple and then migrate relative to the target. And then do what you normally do physically. Okay, back up to me. The amount of time and the amount of people that ask me, you know what, Brad, I have trouble. I seem to drift 6 boards, which means if you're starting out standing on 15, maybe they slide 21. Yeah, I want to stop drifting. People tell me that I drift too much. No. But if you drift 6 boards one shot, and 2 boards the next shot, and 9 boards the next shot, now we got a problem. So let's get to a point to where whatever you do, you can do it consistently. Me, when my feet are exactly parallel to these boards, I drift 13 boards left. I just do it. Well, why did you do that, Brad? What made you decide to do that? I don't know. It just evolved over time. So it's not magic, and it's not something that I did on purpose. There are times when I wish I could drift less, but now I've learned through launch angles that if I can just take my feet and I can go, well, I'll stand more over here and close my angles down, I might drift more, but my launch angle will be more closed. Conversely, some of you need to learn to use a little more angle later in the block. Okay, so you're starting to migrate left, and you're still standing real straight with the boards. Walk to the foul line, throw a good shot, but now your arm swing ends up having to try to throw the ball too far to the right. You end up looking like this. I got to get the ball out. I got to trust it. You same people, what if you just did this? Okay, look down. What if you just did this, moved a couple left, and now walk towards your target, doing what you normally do with your swing? Your launch angle would naturally increase. So I've shared that with some people, and I actually learned that from Rick Benoit. It works. It really works. So just try some of those subtle things. Now, should you only try it during league? No, come out and practice. Should you only drill a brand new ball and only use it during league? No, find a little time and go practice. Well, I work a lot of hours. I don't have time to practice. Well, that's okay. Of course that's okay. But then don't have that high of expectations as to why things aren't evolving and why you're not getting a little better at the fast pace that you would like. All right? All right, I want to throw this show off a couple shots. This would probably be the ball that I would start with. This has so many games on it that it's gotten very, very smooth. The core in this ball is a little weaker type of core. Layout, it's a little lower than some of my other stuff. So this is a little smoother layout just because it's a little lower. It's got a hole in it that's, I don't know, about maybe 3 inches deep. All that does is reshapes the core a little bit. You aren't going to have to worry about that in a couple more months anyways when the new rule goes into effect. So before you even ask the question, yes, this ball will stay in my arsenal, and yes, I will fill this weight hole when I need to fill the weight hole. But I'm just going to throw this ball about similar to what I was doing with the high road, and we're going to see how this looks going down the lane. This should look even smoother than that high road look. Back to my original spot. I'm looking at 12-13. Obviously, we already looked. I'm laying it down on 17, 18, 19. Wow, that one really made a left turn. So it's not that that ball becomes a quicker response time ball. It's just that, wow, that's giving me some feedback about the pattern. Maybe I need to get my speed up. Maybe I need to lower my rev rate. Maybe I need to stabilize that axis and make it roll a little bit more end over end. Maybe I need to go get the ball because it's stuck. See if I can get that pin out of the way. Yep, I got it. Okay. Wow, we're coming up on an hour, so let's start winding this down. I like that. Almost deflected a little too much. Stabilized the ball roll. If we were to do a poll, which one of these balls is right? High Road Nano or this show off? Kind of a bad shot. I missed that one in a little bit. The answer is they're both right. They're both usable for right now. I probably wouldn't use either of them later in the block. game 5 or 6 this week coming up at the Bud Light. If you're not doing anything this weekend, Bud Light Challenge doubles Friday night, Tonawanda Bowling Center. I think we start at like 6:30 or 7 o'clock. Saturday singles tournament. It's all one day. 6,000 for first. Many of the best bowlers from around the Northeast will be there. People from Ohio, Pennsylvania, Long Island, Massachusetts, Canada. All the best from around will be there, as well as many of the local people that each of you know. So come on out, root them on. But as you're watching, don't just watch. Watch. Pay attention to what some of the guys that are really striking are doing, even if it's me.
I got a question. Justin asks, does Bowl U have a Bowl U for Dummies class online at all, like an entry level? I don't have a ton of time to do, and that's all he said.
I assume it means doesn't have a ton of time to do the full weekend clinics.
Tim, why don't you answer that?
There are some online options. I don't know all the details, I guess, of the online Bowl U community.
Probably go to bowlu.com. Just do a little research on bowlu.com.
I think there's a thing where if you sign up for $5, there's a bunch of Rick Benoit videos and all that other type of stuff too.
I think Rick changed that. I think if you want to join Bowl U, that's $5 a month. And what you'll get for that is some decent content. You'll be welcomed into the Team Bowl U Facebook page. But then as an add-on to that, he has a whole video library where I think you can sign up for that as well. And I think that's an additional $5 a month. So for like $10 a month at your own convenience, you can probably get a whole lot of this knowledge. And then if you do have some time, depending on where you're at in your Bowl U understanding, if you want to come out, we can set up a time and be able to get together. I'm home a whole lot more now during the week, so if you have a couple hours free here or there, then maybe we can get together for some one-on-one time. And a lot of times it might not even be you actually throwing balls down the lane. It might be just us sitting back here on the whiteboard discussing some of your thoughts and your strategies that help you maybe changing the way you think a little bit. Okay? All right, what I'm seeing here is that speed that I was throwing this, I feel like is a little too slow. I'm not willing to really change my angles from where I was, but I'm going to start throwing this a little faster, and I'm going to try to end this with a couple good shots here. Still standing on 10, crossing 13, going out to 8, 9, 10. Okay, I think I got it. I'm going to go out on a limb. I think I got it. I think I got the feel of what I want to feel. So see if I can throw a couple good ones. And if I can't, I'm going to apologize in advance.
I'm getting old.
I'm getting old and tired, and listen, it's not really an easy thing just off the top of your head kind of winging these videos. And it's gone over an hour now. And for me, it only feels like it's been 10 or 15 minutes. So it goes so fast, and I'm constantly trying to think, how can I reach you? How can I answer that question more thoroughly? I don't want to confuse you. What could I do? Who am I not reaching? That's what's going through my head. So we're going to clean this up. 2 or 3 shots, and then I'm done. Still not moving my feet. See if I can throw a couple bombs. All right, I'm gonna get faster. I think I got it. But don't talk to me. Leave me alone. I gotta put my game face on.
I'm not talking to you.
All right, in between those two, I think we got it. If I keep saying I think I got it, sooner or later, I gotta hit the pocket, so then you'll believe me.
Just tell him he sucks. He'll strike 12 times.
I do kind of stink right now.
You can make a shout out on tour, but just to show you guys at home.
I got a longtime friend of mine that stopped in. He's kind of pretty stoic whenever he watches me bowl. He actually got a smirk on that one. All right, here we go. If Rick was here, he'd be busting my chops for sure.
That's a good one.
And roll credits.
Roll credits. Yeah, hurry up. Get me off here. I'll see if I can throw one more shot.
They're calling you the Gipper.
Win one for the Gipper.
Almost trips out the old
Now, the
4-5.
rule is you got to strike 3 times in bowl you before you can end.
Oh boy.
All right.
This guy's got to strike 3 freaking times before he can end. It's his own damn rule.
I should go back to the Belmo ball. That strikes
should.
on everything. I might actually throw that a couple shots before we end. Let me throw this High Road Nano. So maybe I made the wrong choice. Maybe this is just a little too sensitive right now. That actually looked a little more smooth. So see if I can throw 2 or 3. We're going to end up being on here for about 5 hours, you know.
Well, strike 3 times. You got 2 more to go. Here's 2.
Yeah, I think I got it.
They're counting it down. Oh!
Nice little double dribble on that one.
That was horrible. You got me all thinking.
Oh yeah, like you don't think out there at tour when you got to win a tournament, right?
The only difference between this and bowling competitively on the weekend.
They're hoping you miss it so this continues to go on.
Yeah, I know, you
let
dirty
you know.
rat. Show your loyalty. We, instead of calling this Pit Nation, we were going to call it Brad Pitt,
No, we weren't. Don't listen to him.
Armpit,
No.
something.
Don't listen to him.
Wednesdays, 5 hours with Brad.
Promotion. Same everything. I'm just going to test this ball relative to those other balls.
There's one.
Okay, there's one.
That looked good. That looked better than any of the other ones.
Actually,
you
it
threw.
did.
It actually did look pretty good. No, I'm going to give it to him. I actually I put a shout out to Belmo on the one post. You know, thanks, Jace. He didn't reply. He didn't reply. But that's okay. He's busy getting ready for the U.S. Open. I get it.
Oh.
That's 2.
Oh. Bowling gods gave him one.
Bad shot.
They want
I
to
missed in.
Now they're saying throw it 2-handed like Belmo.
All right, I'll throw the last shot two-handed.
Oh, jeez.
Many of you know I did this one time on TV. Or no, I didn't. I did it against Robert Smith. I tried lofting the gutter because he beat me that one time. All right, here's my attempt at two-handed in Chicago.
Here comes two-handed.
All right. Let's have a great discussion on Facebook. Put in some questions, comments. Let us know what you like about these weeks. Try to like and share it as best you can. And I have a couple of ideas about what I would like to do in the coming weeks. So we'll continue to talk about that. Send us your suggestions, and we'll try to keep doing this and have a good time. All right? Till then, what do we got? About an hour and 10 minutes, so thanks for being patient. Sorry I didn't throw that many good shots this week, but hopefully you'll learn something. All right? Thanks, guys. Thanks, Pit Nation.